and I'm with the American Grassfed Association. Today I get to talk to Phil Forbes of Kalona, and he gets to tell his story and what he does and why he does it. So let's jump right in. Phil, thank you for joining me today. Can you give me a brief history of yourself and how you kind of came to be a part of Kalona?
Absolutely. Yes, very glad to be here. Love to be on the podcast. I've worked in organic agriculture for most of my working life. I would say at least 40 years. I've done a lot of stuff. I've grown organic medicinal herbs, raised beef cattle. I've had a market garden. We've had buffalo organically, sold that as meat. Those are just examples. And then now I've been involved in organic dairy for about 20 years. I came on with Kalona. Kalona, the brand is Kalona SuperNatural, and it's mostly in the natural foods channel. You can find it at Whole Foods or natural grocers as examples. And it's a full dairy, organic dairy line, full line. And I've been involved for, like I said, about 20 years. Was here when it was just really getting going. And now it's not one of the big guys, but it is punching above its weight. Like I said, it's in all 50 states. And our claim to fame is that it is minimally processed. Got about 20 days, the code. So it's got to move very quickly. And we've got grass-fed, 100% grass-fed products in there as well as just straight organic. And my job and how I've kind of progressed through this is I started out as the quality person. Usually every brand has a quality person. I was the quality person in the plant and then moved to plant manager. From there, I became the field person, which is going out and talking and dealing with the farms. And that's kind of where I've gone. If they were to give me a title, it would be Senior Director Supply Chain. And I do that for Kalona. We also have another company called Small Farm Program. And that program handles farms, organic dairy farms for other companies. So I handle about 100, 120 farms for Horizon Organic, which is one of the big guys. And that's done in the industry, by the way. We're not the only ones that do that. And so what I do, deal with the farmer and the farm in terms of regulatory, certifications, quality, being somebody they can talk to, logistics, procurement. I'll procure new farms as needed. So there's a lot going on and a lot of travel.
Okay. Okay. What a story. So then, and to go from beef cattle to growing herbs to bison, and maybe we should include this. And you had mentioned that you're out of Iowa. So, and are you native to Iowa?
I am not. I'm from Oregon,
Okay.
Central and Southwest Oregon. So kind of a West Coast person. I always tell people, I've been in Iowa long enough that people around here think I was born here. So
Yeah.
they all know me and I know them. I would say coming from the West Coast to the Midwest is like moving to another country. You got to get used to the weather and the people, but it's great. And I love Iowa. I love how it's central and how you can just be almost anywhere in the United States pretty much in 2 days if you're driving. So
Okay. So now, and did you have the bison and the cattle, all of this in Iowa, or were you running that in Oregon
in
too?
Iowa, we were doing it in Iowa.
Okay. So
Yes,
you have some of the better fences then. Just
we
get
did.
bison. That's a different chore.
Yeah, you don't want bison getting out in Iowa. I will just say that.
Oh yeah. No, I don't doubt that. Okay. Now, and just to clarify, you're saying does Kelowna do both organic dairy and grass-fed dairies or
Yes.
okay.
Yes. And so I should probably explain that a little bit.
Yeah, if you could
We
clarify
were,
difference.
I would say, Organic Valley and Kelowna were one of the first ones that started 100% grass-fed dairy. And we chose to certify grass-fed, 100% grass-fed under the American Grass-Fed Association label, certification, protocol. AGA is how we think about it. And we've been very happy with AGA. And when we first started it, we were really developing what that means because you can claim a lot of things, but what does that actually mean? What does that mean for the farmer? Around here in Kelowna, we have producers that wanted to go that way. And we also set up the line initially for Horizon Organic. We set it up for them as well. They've taken it from there. course. Organic Valley is a big dairy brand, has started it, and they've done very well. We actually see a lot of movement towards that, especially the small Amish organic dairies are moving to 100% grass-fed. And so we have both here in Kelowna. We have just straight organic dairy farms, and then we have 100% grass-fed organic dairy farms.
Okay, so what does organic mean then, to clarify? Because I know that title can get a little muddied sometimes. What does that mean?
Absolutely. How I would look at it and how the regulations would look at it is organic dairy would allow for grains to be fed. For instance, organic corn. Everything would need to be certified organic as far as what's being fed and how the land is treated. There's a whole protocol on that, what is allowed, what is not allowed. With 100% grass-fed organic dairy, no grains are allowed. And so the big question always is, where's the energy coming from in the winter? Like right now in Iowa, it's cold. It's really cold. What are you feeding? I will go out and check that. And they are, they're inspected once a year, but we're checking that to make sure. We can always tell. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about 100% grass-fed dairy is that you can tell if they're not doing it by virtue of the color of the milk.
Oh, okay.
The butter is a really bright yellow if it's grass-fed, and it's more paler if it's not grass-fed. So
Okay. And then, so what, I guess, it seems really easy, and a lot of people think it's easy, I think, but what does it take to actually switch over? I mean, if you're running a very commercial dairy with very commercial cows that are more industry focused, what does it take to switch from a conventional setup? I think it'd be harder than most think it would be. What does
yes.
it look like to switch?
Yeah, absolutely. I get that question. I just fielded that question yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a Amish organic dairyman in Ohio. Example, there's a lot of grass-fed dairies in Ohio. That seems to be the trend in Ohio, crazily enough. And it's moving this way. I think Indiana's starting to catch on. The biggest thing I think in switching and being successful, and this might even apply to beef cows, possibly with organic dairy, if you want to go 100% grass-fed, the first thing is your thinking. That's the first thing. I have seen this. I've seen this so many times. So many train wrecks because the organic dairyman will look at the grass-fed price, which is significant. It's significantly better. That's one of the things that is attractive is maybe a $6, $7 premium hundredweight. That's a fortune. That's a lot of money in the dairy industry. When you're talking $1, a hundredweight increase, people perk up with that. And if you say $6 or $7, it's a lot of money. Here's the problem. If you're not a true believer, I think you have to be a true believer. And I would even say this from somebody switching from conventional dairy to organic dairy. You need to become a true believer. The money is attractive, but here's what I mean by true believer. You're going to be grass-fed even if you're have a conventional market. You have a conventional market, you're gonna be grass-fed because you believe in it. And if you believe in it, you in your mind have burned all your bridges. You're never gonna go back. You're always gonna be this way. And if you're always gonna be this way, then you will find the solutions to the challenges that you will face. So the ones that I have seen be very successful at 100% organic dairy are the true believers. And so what they have done, because they're true believers, is that they've selected their cows over time to be successful on grass. If you convert your organic dairy to grass overnight, I think it's a train wreck because those cows will go, what? What? What is this? This is crazy. By the way, I'm going to lose half my body weight right now, and I'm going to give you no milk at all. And so then the dairymen, they have a high price, but they don't have any volume. And sometimes they either make the same money or less. Cows look bad. So if you're a true believer, you will start the process of selecting cows that you have or purchasing them that do well on grass. Do really well. You will become very conversant at how to manage your grass and what kind of fertility it needs to be and how you need to progress that way. And then if you do that, then if you get a grass-fed market, you are going to you will be very successful financially. But
Okay.
probably you would be successful organically and still be grass-fed because you're getting enough pounds and your cows are doing well and you're doing all that and you've cut your costs. I would say that is the nutshell. You need to be a true believer, burn all your bridges, and then go through the process of what it takes to be that. At the end of the game, I think you'll be very successful. So,
Okay. And that I just think would be a huge transition. I guess it could be pretty quick if you just cut ties with all your cattle and just bought the cows. Which maybe
you
right
could,
now, I don't know what the dairy market's like, but right now with the beef cows, it's hard to justify purchasing them with cow price. But
same with the organic dairy, same thing.
okay,
Oh
okay,
yeah. Oh yeah. The beef cow. In fact, I would say the cattle market in general for A2 organic grass-fed cows that were raised to be good on grass, you're going to spend $6,000 maybe,
oh
which
wow,
is a fortune. That's a
yep,
fortune. I don't know how you make that work, but that's what
right,
they're bringing. And I would say this too, bull calves, dairy bull calves, three
yeah.
days old are bringing $1,000 at the sale barn. And it's because there's no beef cows.
I'll be darned. That
So
is wild.
so it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Whereas, maybe 5 years ago, you paid to send your bull calves to market.
Oh yeah, when I was in college, we visited in Iowa, my first year. We visited a dairy and they had their calf pens and they weren't kidding whenever they wanted to get rid of them. They were willing to give them for free and they were asking, does anybody want to pet the bull calves? We'll give them to you.
Yeah.
Interesting. And okay, so that poses another question. In a grass-fed dairy, is the calving system similar to what it is in conventional dairy? Meaning, and I shouldn't blanket statement, but I guess a few I've seen, as soon as the calves hit the ground, they're pulling them calves and putting them into a bottle-fed system.
Yeah.
Are there grass-fed dairies that are allowing those calves on those mama cows or no?
So every farmer, and I would say this is Kalona's perspective, we allow the farmer to farm. And so we're not going to mandate to the farmer how they need to raise their calves.
Yeah.
Although there are animal welfare protocols that we'll follow up on, that's a huge deal with the consumers. Consumers don't want to buy their food from, especially organic dairy, from an operation that abuses their animal. Okay,
Right.
so that is a question we'll get. How are the calves treated? So we have to balance that. We want the farmer to farm. I do not want to tell a farmer how to farm because then I'm responsible at the end of the day for their profitability. And I don't want to be. I want them to do that and give them the tools to be successful, but not tell them. But at the same time, tell them that the customer's very concerned.
Yeah.
And so in organic dairy, it's a pure market. No one's mandating the price. The consumer and supply and demand is driving the price. The government doesn't drive it. It's
Yeah.
it's a pure market. And so if the customer doesn't buy your milk, that's bad. Okay, so
Yes.
that's really bad, super bad. And
Yeah.
so we tell the farmer, we're not telling you how to farm, but this is important and we need to come to a solution here. So having the calves pulled from the moms right away, make with the consumer not or the customer not knowing anything, they think that's bad.
Yeah.
That sounds bad. That sounds like that's really bad. We don't like that. Well, okay. On the flip side of that, if the calf is getting all the milk, what is the farmer selling?
Exactly.
So you have to balance that. So the ones that I've seen that are really successful at this is they'll leave the calves on the moms for a while. And I'm not knowing really what a while means, but it's enough time for that calf to get, of course, the colostrum, get settled, and then many times those calves will be put on a what I would call a nurse cow,
Okay.
allow them to suckle, allow them to be in groups. And this is where the industry is going, especially for us, not have them isolated, but have them in group pens. So they'll be with each other and with a mama cow so that you can have the social aspect. You can still have eventually milk to sell, but improve the health of that calf as much as you possibly can, trying to balance all those aspects, make the customer happy and really happy about buying it, but not tell the farmer how to farm, but give them the issues. These are
Yeah.
the issues in the industry. And so that's how I would answer that. So
Okay, excellent. So, and you had mentioned earlier 120 dairies, and that's what you're working with. Is that through Horizon or is that through Kelowna?
about 120 dairies, possibly more with Horizon. With Kalona, it's about 50.
Okay, okay.
And the Kelowna reach is Iowa, was Missouri and Illinois, probably will be that again, Wisconsin. With Horizon, it's the Mid East. So I would say Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. I did have farms in the Northeast in New York and Pennsylvania, but I have somebody else doing that. Yeah, so it's a big reach and I see a lot, a lot.
Yeah. And now with that, out of those, how many dairymen would you say are hand milking versus, I mean, like parlor milking or robotic milking?
Yeah.
How would you divide that out? Because hand milking,
So
I think, would be, I mean, all of it's a chore and they got to be very dedicated. That's always the joke is they don't get to leave because they got to milk the cow, but
that's right.
break that down.
So we see, at least I see, all of that in various forms. We see parlors, which is the most efficient, probably the best, I would say, system, a parlor. Cows come in, get milk, go out. The next one, and this is the more traditional one, is a tie stall. Cows come in, they go into a stall. They have a chain that connects to a collar, so they stay there.
Mhm.
In organic, they can't stay there. So they come in, they get hooked up, they start
Oh,
eating and drinking, they get milked, they get unchained and let out. So they can just go out. So they come in and go out. In conventional dairy, a lot of those guys are, if they have a tie stall, they're chained all day. That's where they're at. And then there's our hand milkers. So
okay.
this is in the Amish community. I would say in the Northeast, it's possibly a third of all the dairies are hand milkers. Amish.
Really?
They're Amish. Yep. We have hand milkers for Kalona in Iowa. Not a third, but we have maybe 5 that hand milk. And then in the Mid East, not as much. These are bigger dairies and you just can't do it. The thinking behind it with the Amish, it's the more traditional Orthodox Amish, and in their thinking, they're not going to be modern. They're going to be a certain way, and this is what we're going to do. This is
Mm.
what we're doing. And I'm always impressed because they're fending off modern society all around them and sticking to how they want to live, which is impressive in this day and age. I'm just impressed.
Yeah.
However, the hand milkers, it's not one person doing it, it's the family. So when I
Oh,
go to a farm that's hand milking, I'm not talking to the dad. I'm talking to the 10 kids.
okay.
And many times, sometimes it's a 5-year-old. I'm talking to the 5-year-old who's hand milking this cow. By the way, the quality needs to be good for us. I mean, so I'm talking to the dad, but I'm talking to the kid, and it's impressive, but I need them to be good at it. They can't just milk the cow. They got to milk the cow in a quality sort of way.
Okay.
So I would say this about that too. When we tell our customers that we have hand milkers, they love that.
Yeah.
They absolutely love the fact that there's hand milkers out there. I don't know why, but they love it. So we allow it. Right now, organic milk is really short, really short. I don't know, whoever's listening to this, if they're, in a city and you've gone to your, I don't know, Whole Foods or maybe natural grocers or whatever looking for milk, and maybe the shelf is bare, it's because milk's short across the United States. So when people say, oh, we shouldn't have hand milkers, I'm like, hey, whoever's milking, we love that. What can
Yeah.
we do to make you successful? So
Awesome. Oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine. That'd be a lot of work.
it is.
That'd be a lot of work, especially just trying to get the volume too out of that every day. Enough cows and make sure you can get through them all, and then the volume at the end for a product to sell.
That's right.
And you've mentioned it a couple times, but for maybe a broader audience, can you explain the A2 milk?
Yes, A2A2 it's the genetics of the cow that are such that the milk is of such a composition that I believe A2A2 was previous to A1.
Mhm.
And the claim to fame to A2A2 is that somebody who's lactose intolerant or can't consume milk because of health issues can consume A2A2. Now,
Okay.
I would say this about A2A2. Because we have A2, we're developing an A2A2 line. It takes a while to get there. You got to have an A2A2 bull. You can breed to an A1 cow and get an A2 offspring. You can get there. It's best to do A2A2 bull, A2A2 female, but we have to get there. And so you test, a hair follicle or a sample of hairs to find out if the cow is A2A2. Takes a while, but we're developing this line because the customer is wanting this. And I would say this about it is that I have friends who were lactose intolerant
Yeah.
and I gave them A2A2 milk. They could drink it. I was amazed. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's not fake. I know that A2A2 started maybe 20 years ago in Iowa. There was a company that
Okay.
tried to do A2A2, completely failed because the customer didn't understand A2A2. They thought it
Yeah.
was genetically modified milk or some crazy thing.
Okay.
And so the understanding of the customer had to be there before that starts to sell. Well, we're picking up traction in the marketplace. That is being understood now. It's a quality of milk that I think is very valuable, and we're trying to get there. So
Okay. So, and that truly is just the genetic end on the cow, correct?
that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, is there a premium for that milk over
So,
organic or grass-fed?
well, so we're trying not to add more cost
Yeah.
to the customer. I think the price of organic milk is getting too high, and conventional milk, non-organic milk, is getting too low. That's always bad for the organic dairy industry. It's always bad
Yeah.
because the customer that walks into Walmart and sees a half gallon of organic milk at $8, $9, and then looks at the conventional gallon at $1,
Yeah.
you've got to be a true believer. You have to be a true believer as a customer to buy that.
Yeah.
So we can't add more cost. I don't think so. But the farmer is expecting a
Yeah.
premium for A2A2. So we're doing that. So we're just, as a processor, as a brand, we're eating that cost because the customer wants it, it sells, but the farmer wants to be paid. So I understand all that, and it's just part of what we're doing.
Okay. Now, in means of getting gathered up, what does that side of the business look like? I mean, sending trucks out. You had mentioned that it's not processed as heavily. What does that mean?
Okay, so logistically, what makes organic dairy typically more costly is the cost of the haul. The
Okay.
cost of the haul is to pick up. And I've been on these dairies. It's usually out west. I've been on a dairy in New Mexico that was milking 10,000 cows. So
Okay.
that's a small city.
Yep.
They have small city problems. They have to deal with the manure. They have to deal with the wastewater. Where's the water coming from? All that
Yeah.
stuff, and they're loading a tanker. And what I mean by a tanker is that when you're driving down the road, you see these big long cylinder trailers. That's a
Yep.
tanker. It can haul orange juice, olive oil, or milk, anything fluid,
Yep.
and they will pull up to the dairy, to the milking house, the milking facility, and load. You load and go to the processor.
Yep.
That's the least cost way of picking up milk, of hauling milk, of logistics. In organic dairy, you don't do that. You can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Because of the pasture requirement in organic dairy, this is not 100% grass fed. 100% grass fed is that you have to have all of your feed coming from pasture,
Yep.
basically. Now, you can harvest your pasture, but it's still grass from your pasture. So the cow won't walk 40 miles to pasture. There's only so far that cow will walk. In
Yep.
organic dairy, that's true as well. The cow will only walk so far. So there's a limit to the amount of cows on an organic dairy that can operate within the rules. That
Okay.
means that truck picking up milk has to go from farm to farm to farm to farm to get a load. It's
Yep.
more costly. Every time the driver gets out of the truck, that costs us or,
Mhm.
so we're picking up a hand milker milking 10 cows. That's costly to pick up.
Yep.
And you've got to pick up a lot of those guys to get a load. And so out of that's an issue. That's a cost to organic dairy. What was your other point that you were asking?
You had mentioned that it's not as heavily processed, it's lightly processed. What is that? What's that look like?
Okay, so I will only speak for Kalona. When we say we're minimally processed, and the customer for Kalona is a true believer, again, I'm using that word. They love it. They know what they're getting and they're really passionate about it. It's minimally processed.
Yeah.
And what minimally processed means is that we pasteurize the milk at the lowest temperature possible that's allowed by the state and federal regulation. The reason we do that is that the customer wants it as natural as possible. They would love to drink raw milk, probably if they could. So
Yep.
this is as close as you can get it. Plus, we do not homogenize. So
Okay.
people that are lactose intolerant, this is my theory. I'm not basing it on, studies or whatever. It's just my observation of what I've seen over 20 years. When you homogenize milk, it's not done to make the milk better. It's done so that the milk can sit on the shelf longer. So
Okay.
when you put fat through a machine to homogenize it, it changes the fat. And so
Yep.
now it's changed fat. That's changed. That's different. That's not whole. That's not minimally processed. And
Right.
so the customer loves that. And a lot of our customers can drink our product and can't drink other products that are processed. So that is our claim to fame. Now, does that mean that we have a price to pay as a processor? Yes. When it's minimally processed like that, when the temperature of the pasteurization is low, we have a code date on the product that's about 20 days.
Okay.
So if it's going to California, or if it's going to Maine or Florida or Washington, it's got to move through the chain very, very fast. I know this to be a fact. We have a market in Atlanta, Georgia. When the customer buys at a certain store, the milk was in the cow a day and a half before.
Cool.
So the milk's in
Okay.
the cow, gets picked up, it's unloaded at the plant. Let's say it's Monday, picked up on Monday morning. It's in the cow, got milked on Monday morning. It's in the bulk tank, gets picked up, taken immediately to the processing, unloaded, goes through the system, gets pasteurized right there, bottled,
Yeah.
palletized, put on a truck that day on Monday, overnight to Atlanta, unloaded Tuesday morning early on the shelf. Somebody's buying it Tuesday morning. Goes maybe in the afternoon, they pop the top and have a drink. That was in the cow Monday morning. That's how fast it's got to move because it's minimally processed.
Yeah, the logistics of that seems just like a nightmare because you have to be picking this milk up every day, I
That is
assume.
correct. That's right.
Okay.
So here's what we hate in Iowa, actually, in the dairy industry: a snowstorm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially an ice storm. That's horrific because now you can't pick up the milk. Well, they're
Yeah.
milking the cow tonight. Where's the milk going? Are you dumping the milk? You're not dumping milk to a farmer. It's not milk. It's money. You're dumping money on the ground. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
So, and what are these, the 100% grass-fed dairies? What would they be in, especially in the Midwest where we're getting snow? What would their winter feed regimen look like?
So I'll just use AGA as an example. They have a list of what's allowed. Mostly it's basically fodder.
Yeah.
So stored feed. So you would have high protein hay,
Okay.
and you would have haylage, which would be hay grown under wet conditions and not composted, but it's cultured, I guess.
Okay.
It's like corn silage, but doesn't have corn. And there could be other, like molasses is allowed, vitamins, of course, but it cannot be a grain.
Yeah.
Cannot be a grain to be your crutch for energy. That
Yeah.
is not allowed. So, but I will say this: like I said, these guys are true believers. They have figured out their system and they're able to feed a cow 100% grass fed in the winter in Iowa and get 40 to 50 pounds out of that cow. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's
that
unbelievable,
is
but these
wild.
guys are true believers and they figured that out.
That is wild. So, and you just said 40 to 50 pounds of milk out of these cows. Would that be comparative to an industrial dairy cow
So,
or?
yeah, these guys in conventional dairy, I was just on one in Indiana. They're getting 120 pounds out of the cow. Now,
Okay.
I will tell you this, when they're milking like that, those cows in the conventional system may last 3 years, 3 to 4 years
Yeah.
probably.
Yep.
In an organic dairy situation, it's not, or and grass fed's 100% grass fed's even better. There's cows that 20 years and have a calf every year, have a calf every year. That's because that cow's not being pushed to the max. They're
Okay.
cared for in a different way. They're outside, they're on pasture, they're eating what they should be, my opinion, should be eating, and the cow's just healthier. There's no vet bills, basically. So
That is amazing. And okay, and so another question then. Are we talking primarily Holstein or Jersey cow, both? I mean, what would you say your dairymen mostly have?
So it's usually up to the dairyman what they like. If you're going to be a Jersey herd, we like Jersey herds here in Kelowna because
Mhm.
we sell many products with fat in them. And that's what a Jersey will do is produce a lot of fat, but less volume.
Yeah,
A Holstein will produce less fat, but more volume.
right.
You can have a crossbred. You could have other breeds like Guernsey or Fleckvieh, Normandy, all these Devons are good. All these, the ones that do well on grass are smaller cows. I'll just say that. So if you're going to be 100% grass fed, your Jersey herd is a good bet. They do really well. They're a smaller cow. And if the pay is such that butter fat is rewarded, the Jersey herd will do very well.
Okay.
If the processor wants a lot of milk, they're going to reward volume. And then Holsteins are the breed of choice.
And now, does Kelowna have obviously milk, but I mean, is there butter, cream? I mean, are there other products available, dairy products available other than just milk?
So there always has been. We had to stop our butter operation, and I'm gonna give you an example of why that happened. Two reasons. Number one, milk short,
Yep.
and so we don't have the amount of cream that we need to supply a butter operation, but it's even more than that. This happened years ago. The secret in the dairy, organic dairy industry, actually it's a dairy industry, is the emphasis on skim milk and low fat products
Yep.
because, you would provide skim milk for people because they don't want to be fat. So
Yeah.
we don't want something that's got fat in it. And that was really promoted. It was the secret of the dairy industry because you can skim the milk, sell skim milk for the amount that you'd sell it for whole milk, and make butter with the cream. So that's great. You got two products and it's the
Yep.
same ingredient coming in. Well,
Mm.
Time Magazine, everybody must believe Time Magazine. It must be like the Mecca of truth because they put a stick of butter on the front of it. I think you can look it up. They put the stick of butter on it and said, fat is good for you. Something like that. They did that. I'm telling you, overnight, our whole milk sales skyrocketed
Yeah.
and we couldn't skim it anymore like that. And our skim sales fell out. Well, now we don't have cream. Now we don't have cream to make butter. And cream became so valuable. I think it was, okay, I'm being facetious, but it was like the cost, you could buy gold or cream for the
Yeah.
same price. I mean, a tanker of cream, I saw it quoted, and they were being facetious, but they
Yeah.
really were not. This company was asked, will you sell us a load of cream? And they said, yeah, $1 million. $1 million for a load of cream. Now they're being facetious, but they're
Yeah.
not. What they're really saying is, we're not going to sell it to you. We need it to supply our brand, and this is so valuable that it's priceless, actually. And so again, thank you, Time Magazine. You completely changed the market, but now people want whole milk. They want the fat. Fat is good for you,
Yeah.
and it's just been a major change over time. So.
Would you say for the 20 years that you've been with Kelowna, well, let me just ask it that way. What is the biggest change in the dairy industry you've seen in the last 20 years?
So two things, what I just said, the
Yep.
fact that the customer understand, this is my opinion, good fat is
Yep.
really good for you. It's really good.
Yep.
Minimally processed fat. That's actually catching on.
Mhm.
100% grass-fed butter, you can't get enough of that stuff. That's really good. Okay, that's number one. Number two is the change in the amount of milk in the United States, because that's how we think about it now. There's only so much milk in the United States.
Yeah.
The younger generation, do they want to pay $10 million to start up a dairy farm to milk twice a day,
Right.
every day of the year? Do they want to do that? The answer is no, they don't want to do that. So
Right.
where is the milk coming from? That's the biggest change, is how are we going to supply the ingredient that's necessary to make it all work? And I will tell you this, another perfect storm is the perception of the younger generation of, what I would say it this way, almond juice. It's not almond milk.
Yep.
They're not milking the almonds. It's very hard to milk enough almonds to get
Yeah.
enough almond milk. It's almond juice.
Yeah.
And the younger generation looks at that and goes, we don't want that. We want dairy. We want organic dairy. That's the major trend that's changing. Whether you believe that or not, I'm telling you, it's a trend that's
Yeah.
huge, that's changing the industry. So.
Right. So, and that's, I guess, and that's the last question is I'm in Northwest Nebraska and we're talking Walmart 30 minutes away, Dollar
Right.
General 15 minutes away.
Right.
I can only imagine the nightmare that would ensue to ship dairy products. But do you see maybe an increase, like you're saying, the younger generation wanting the dairy products, good dairy products?
Yeah.
Do you see maybe a way forward then for areas like mine to actually get milk?
Yeah.
Good milk.
Yeah. So we're looking into that. And I know that the bigger brands are doing that as well. That's a growth area.
Yep.
If you were to supply, for instance,
Yeah.
Dollar General in a way that you could walk in and buy organic dairy. Now, Dollar General would have to say, are we going to make money doing that? Can we give you shelf space? That's the big thing, is can you
Right.
get shelf space? You'd have to show that Dollar General that folks like yourself would go buy that.
Yeah.
I think they would. I think they
I do
actually
too.
would. Yeah, you just got to get it there. It's a distribution issue, but I think it's solvable, and I think that's a growth area. We're looking into it,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. So then the last difficult question before my fun question. So are
Raw
there
milk.
states available that allow the sale and consumption of raw milk?
Yes, there are, and that is changing. Iowa allows it now. And the reason that California is over the top, I think. California has really set the bar high. They allow the sale of raw milk at stores, which I think
Okay.
is absolutely crazy. I think that's crazy. But I'm a real proponent of raw milk off the farm.
Yep.
So if you want that, I think the customer needs to understand what that means.
Okay,
You're
well,
going
what's
to
that
take
mean?
Okay, so what that means is that the reason you pasteurize is if the farmer was unclean, they would have bacteria in the milk that could make you sick.
Okay.
Okay, so because of that, that's been banned. So
Yeah.
really bad, and we're going to pasteurize and we're going to make you do that. But a lot of people want raw milk. The farmer, by the way, the farmer drinks it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the
That's
thing.
right.
The farmer, and they're all real healthy, super healthy. But with that farmer and the family is used to the bacteria that's in that milk. It's part of the territory of that farm. They're probably very healthy. They're drinking that milk. They're used to it. Their bodies are used to it. It's like when you go to another country and drink the water. You're
Yeah.
not used to whatever's in that water and you get sick. Okay, so if somebody wants to buy raw milk in Iowa, the way they've structured that is that farm needs to have no more than 10 cows, and all you're doing is selling raw milk. That's all you're going to do.
Okay.
Pennsylvania really allows it. I mean, they get inspected, and you can sell raw milk off the farm. It's not a problem, but you have to adhere to certain regulations. If I'm somebody that's going to go buy raw milk, I really want to understand. I want to meet that farmer. I want to
Yep.
understand their quality, how they're milking, maybe even watch it, and then understand, you are drinking something that could have contamination, but
Yeah.
I think you can get contamination with pasteurized milk too.
Yeah.
So again, I'm a real proponent of it. I just am, and I think it should be available. But if you're going to do it, buyer beware. I would
Yeah.
just say that.
So Kelowna probably is not going to move in that direction?
No,
Okay.
because we sell over state lines. There's no way we'd ever do
Okay.
that. The minute you would put that raw milk into a package, you're exposing that milk to I don't know what.
Yeah.
And the liability of that would be far exceeding any sort of sales we'd have. So
Yeah. Well, then my last fun question is, how much milk do you drink a week?
I bet I drink a gallon, at least a gallon. And I'm a real fan of kefir, which
Yeah.
is cultured. Anything cultured, I'm a fan of high fat and anything cultured. I think it's really important for health. That's my opinion. So
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the last time, just due to the lack of milk I have right here, would be just your basic conventional milk.
yeah.
So, well, then, is there anything else that we need to know or hear about Kalona or Horizon?
No, you got a full download, I think.
Excellent. Well, then with that, we will wrap it up. And I just thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed it. I find the dairy industry just fascinating.
You bet.
So,
Thank you.
yes, sir. Thank you much. And with that, we'll sign off for today's podcast and see you guys next time. Thank you.